The Secret of Abu Jahl, The Man Who Feared the Truth prologue. The nightmare that wouldn't end. The torches in Mecca's great halls burned low, their flames flickering against the cold stone walls. Abu Jahl sat alone, his fingers tapping restlessly on the polished wooden table. The night air was thick with the scent of incense, but it did nothing to soothe his nerves. Sleep had become a stranger to him. Everywhere he went, he heard whispers. Have you heard what Muhammad said today? The slaves, the poor, they are rising because of him. He says there's only one God, that our gods are nothing. He gritted his teeth. That man would ruin everything. His hands curled into fists. Tomorrow, he would make an example of one of them. Maybe Bilal, that slave who had the audacity to believe he was equal to his master. Maybe Samaya, the woman who spat in his face when he threatened her family. Yes, he would remind them who truly ruled Mecca. And yet, deep inside, a whisper gnawed at him. What if Muhammad was right? He shook the thought away. Impossible. Abu Jahl, known in Mecca as Amr ibn Hisham, was no ordinary man. In a city where wealth and lineage determined one's worth, he stood at the top. His clan, the Banu Maksum, controlled the trade routes, the markets, the politics. The Kaaba, surrounded by hundreds of idols, was their stronghold. Every merchant who came to Mecca paid tribute to the Quraysh. Every festival honoring the gods filled his pockets with gold. He was feared, respected, obeyed. But there was one thing he despised above all else, being challenged. And that was exactly what Muhammad had done. Muhammad's revolution at first. Abu Jahl didn't take him seriously. Muhammad, the quiet, honest merchant, the man who never sought power, who spent his nights meditating in a cave. Laughable. But then, something happened. One by one, people started listening to him. Not just the poor, but the noble families too. Umar ibn Khattab, a warrior feared by many, was among them. Even more dangerous, Muhammad's message was not just about religion. It was about equality. The slave is equal to the master. The rich must share with the poor. There's only one God. Your idols are false. Abu Jahl clenched his jaw. This wasn't just about faith. This was about power. If the people abandoned their gods, they would no longer need the Quraysh, the trade flowing into Mecca, the wealth, the respect of the surrounding tribes, gone. Muhammad wasn't a preacher. He was a threat. The tyrant's fury, the first attack, was mockery. Abu Jahl paid poets to make jokes about Muhammad in the markets. He spread rumors. He is a madman, a magician, a liar. But Muhammad didn't break. Then came the bribes. Gold, women, power. Just stop preaching. They said, take whatever you want. But Muhammad didn't bend. Then came the threats. If you don't stop, we will kill you. But Muhammad didn't fear. No matter what Abu Jahl did, Islam kept spreading. And it wasn't just the weak who were embracing it. It was warriors, poets, merchants, people who mattered. So Abu Jahl decided it was time for blood. The torture begins. Mecca turned into a nightmare for the early Muslims. Under Abu Jahl's orders, slaves who converted were dragged into the desert and whipped under the scorching sun. Bilal, the Abyssinian slave, was laid on the burning sand with a boulder on his chest. Deny your God, they shouted. But Bilal only whispered, Ahad, Ahad, one God, Samaya. A poor woman was beaten to death before her son's eyes, the first martyr of Islam. And Abu Jahl? He smiled. Let this be a lesson to the rest. But despite all his cruelty, he could not stop the movement. More and more people whispered, La ilaha illallah, in the shadows. More and more people were ready to die for it. Why? Why did these people, these nobodies, refuse to break? Abu Jahl did not understand, and that terrified him. The breaking point one day, Abu Jahl stood near the Kaaba, watching Muhammad from a distance. A slave sat beside him. A merchant knelt at his feet. A warrior listened to his every word. No ranks, no hierarchy, no difference between master and servant. It was at that moment that Abu Jahl realized the truth. Muhammad was winning. Not with swords, not with gold, with words, with faith. And that was more dangerous than anything Abu Jahl had ever faced, because faith was unstoppable. That night, he vowed, I will kill him with my own hands. The death of a tyrant years passed. The Muslims were no longer a weak, oppressed people. They had moved to Medina. They had grown in numbers. They had an army. The final battle came at Badr. Abu Jahl, standing in golden armor, laughed. We outnumber them 3-1. Today, we crush Muhammad for good. But Allah had other plans. One by one, the Quraysh warriors fell. The mighty army of Abu Jahl was torn apart. Then, a young Muslim warrior, someone Abu Jahl once called a nobody, stood over his broken body. The proud tyrant lay in the dust, defeated, as he gasped for breath. He stared up at the sky, realization finally sinking in. The gods he had worshipped were silent, his power, his wealth useless, and Muhammad, his name would live forever, with his last breath. Abu Jahl died as he had lived, a man who feared the truth, the man who tried to stop the sun years later. Muhammad's name spread across the world. Billions of people, kings, scholars, warriors, and the common man bowed in prayer, reciting the very words Abu Jahl had tried to erase. And his name? He was no longer remembered as Amr ibn Hisham, the nobleman. He was remembered as Abu Jahl, the father of ignorance, the man who tried to stop the truth, and failed.